Magic the Gathering is in its worst state ever, and before you blow me up, I'm talking about Standard. I know a lot of you know me from my Commander content, but honestly my favorite formats are 60-card formats. There's a whole lot of Commander content creators, and not enough people who talk about Standard. So today I want to talk about what's wrong with Standard, and what I would do to fix it. And if you're wondering who the hell am I to give my hot takes on this subject, I'm actually a top 250 player on Arena. And if you don't believe me, you can find me on Twitch. So first we're going to talk about what's wrong with the format. It's simply too fast. Currently we have at least 2 decks that can kill you by turn 3, and 4 decks that can kill you by turn 4. And before you say you should just play removal, not every single piece of removal works against every single deck. Not to mention, your sideboard doesn't fit every single scenario possible. And since these decks win so fast, it's pretty much impossible for you to draw your sideboard cards every single game. Standard is pretty much taking a Yu-Gi-Oh approach where your opening hand is the most important thing that you'll draw. Which means if you mulligan, you lose even more resources that could potentially save you in the first opening moves. And if you don't believe me, we'll talk about each of these decks and the scenarios they create. The turn 1 typically is a Line of War, into a Badger Mole Cup, and a Spider Manifestation. Then in turn 3 is a Nature's Rhythm into another Badger Mole, and then harmonizing it to get a Creator Hook Behemoth for the win. Typically the answer for this deck is either an early game Seam Rip, or Blighted Hex, or some early game removal. And typically if you're playing red, your early game answers are stuff like Pyroclasm or Fire Magic. But the issue with this is that your opponents can intentionally play slower on turn 2 and just hold up a counterspell to protect their board state. Our next problem deck is Izzet Prowess. The issue with this deck isn't that it can kill so fast, but the fact that it can sideboard and play into the mid game. Instead of going for the early kill, if they know that you're going to play a lot of early game interactions, they just play Eddie Murkrab. The problem isn't that Eddie Murkrab is a strong card, but the fact is that you don't know what to sideboard against this deck. Because your opponent can pivot their deck into 2 different directions, early game removal doesn't work against the crab, and then graveyard removal doesn't work against the aggro package. So this deck gets to play an extra layer of mind games for the sideboarding phase. And then we move into our least favorite decks, the combo decks. Superior Spider-Man, or also in Arena Kuvero, is one of the problem children of the current format. Currently playing in 2 different lists, one which is a Reanimator deck, which is easier to interact with, and then the second which is Excruciator, which is not so easy to interact with. We're not going to talk about the Reanimator deck, even though it's really strong, it's a little bit easier to interact with. But the main problem is the Excruciator deck. The fact that Superior Spider-Man counts as casting means Excruciator can come out as early as turn 4. Typically the answer for this deck is to play a Torpor Orb, but the issue with that is that these decks like to play a lot of discard outlets. Just imagine opening 7 cards and having your sideboard card in your hand, and then getting it discarded before you get a chance to play it. And the last deck I want to talk about is Kona Omniscience. My issue with this deck isn't Kona, but the fact that Omniscience is available in Standard. Builds of this deck can get Kona out as early as turn 3, which means Omniscience also comes out on turn 3. Now this deck is a little bit less consistent, but it has Formidable Speaker to tutor the cards you need, and also get out Northwind Avatar to get Omniscience out of your sideboard if you need it. And before any of you say, just play more counterspells, Camera Souls is legal in Standard, so no, that doesn't really work. They can also flash on Lost in the Maze on your turn before they try to go for the combo win. And since you can't counter the spell, and you can't target the Kona, the only thing you can do is counter its trigger ability. That or flash and a Nowhere to Run, but not every deck can play that. I find it kind of ironic that we banned stuff like Vivi and Heartfire Hero because they were too strong in the last format, but now somehow we landed in an even stronger format. The first few changes I'd like to make are a few bans. Personally, I think Kona is perfectly fine as it is, but we need to remove Omniscience. Cheating on permanence is not that powerful in effect, but cheating on Omniscience is a different story. I remember when Wizards used to ban infinite combos before they got too prevalent. Omniscience doesn't make Standard more interesting, it just makes it more combo-y. The next card I banned is Superior Spider-Man, or Kuvero. 4-mana Reanimate isn't that big of an issue, but the real issue is that it counts as casting. I will say it has a cool interaction with the Evoke creatures, but stuff like Excruciator is just too strong. Not to mention Brigger the Last Wish means that your 4-mana Reanimate reanimates your entire board and wipes your opponent's board. My next proposed ban is Badger Mole Cup. This card is simply too fast for the current format. Being able to get to 8 mana on turn 3 is kinda nuts. Being able to turbo out 8 mana by turn 3 means every deck needs an opening hand with some interaction in order to survive. You know it's bad when mono red is not even the fastest deck in the format. If I was to ban anything, it'd probably be the Slickshot Show-Off. It's not because this card is too strong, but it can lead to a lot of turn 3 wins. The other thing I would like to change in the format is the mulligan rule. Magic's mulligan rule is such a dated mechanic. The reality is there's so many better ways to do it, such as Hearthstone's way, where you can choose which cards you want to send back. I do agree that variance allows for a lot of non-games in Magic the Gathering, but the reality is that it happens way too often. The speed of the format is so fast that losing one card is detrimental to your entire match. If you agree with what I said, tag your friend and Wizards of the Coast to get more eyes on this post. And if you don't agree, comment what you would change in the format, and if you wouldn't change anything at all, comment that too. Don't forget you can find me on Twitch if you want to watch me play against other top players in the world. Or if you prefer to watch me play Commander with these guys, we stream our Commander games 8:30 PM Eastern. Hope to see you there, like, follow, and subscribe.